In Washington, O'Brien and his deputy Matthew Pottinger pushed the president to make a case for an international response to the pandemic, but Trump was unpersuaded. "Why aren't the Europeans doing anything?" he fired back. That was the moment, some administration officials felt, when the opportunity for allies to work multilaterally on an unfolding and potentially unprecedented crisis evaporated. From the time Trump first heard of the dangers posed by the virus, his instinct was to minimize it. He had just signed a trade pact with China and was eager to portray himself as the deal-maker-in-chief in advance of his re-election bid in November. His opponents described him as a warmonger, but he hoped to roll out a number of agreements with foreign leaders. It would show that he was a tough operator who was fiery and furious in negotiations, but also could close the deal. For example, Trump seemed to push the United States to the brink of nuclear war with North Korea in 2017, only to pull back and hold 3 made-for-TV meetings in 2018 and 2019 with the country's dictatorial leader, Kim Jong-un. It was mostly for show, but for Trump, that was all that really mattered. In early 2020, the American economy was going strong, and the president worried about any action that would derail its progress. The travel ban was action enough, he believed, and everything was under control. That is what China's President Xi Jinping was telling him in a number of phone calls. But both the emerging pandemic and the economy were about to get much, much worse. In early March, the markets went into freefall. The contagion, now known as COVID-19, shorthand for Coronavirus Disease 2019, was spreading across Europe. Trump's advisers warned that millions could die if he took no further action. So on March 11th, Trump reluctantly agreed to shut the economy down for 3 weeks. It may not have been enough, but it was a start. For more than a month, O'Brien, Pottinger, and the administration's health advisers had struggled to convince the president that this was serious. But now the dam was breaking and a national crisis loomed. Trump quickly turned on China, one of his favorite rhetorical targets, despite his warm personal relationship with Xi. His message to his aides was blunt. "These guys have fucked us, and they fucked me personally." He began to call the pandemic the China virus. In response, Beijing started to sow rumors that the U.S. Army had brought the virus to Wuhan. Trump had another phone call with Xi on March 26th. This one was contentious, as they argued about the origins of COVID-19. For the remainder of Trump's term, the two men would not speak again. By late March, all the world's wealthiest democracies were in lockdown, facing what appeared to be their most severe crisis since World War II. No one knew what the ultimate death toll could be, but a rough, back-of-the-envelope calculation was terrifying. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, estimated that up to 1.7 million Americans could die. German officials worried that they could lose 500,000 people. Everyone had known some sort of global pandemic was possible. Some countries had even planned for it. But now that one had arrived, many leaders were flying blind. To curb the spread, economies were deliberately shut down, but that triggered an unimaginable worldwide recession that rivaled that of the Great Depression of the 1930s, or so it seemed for a while. Each country, in its own way, worried that its population was not prepared psychologically or materially for what was about to happen. International cooperation was effectively at a standstill. The World Health Organization, WHO, stymied by insufficient cooperation from China and overly deferential to Beijing, struggled to understand the evolving nature of the pandemic. As a result, it also found it difficult to offer coherent advice on how to contain it. Around the world, a competitive, self-help logic dominated national responses. Germany closed its borders, stranding thousands of its citizens who were abroad and could not return home. French authorities seized 6 million